Chapter 1806, Z-Way at a Loss. Chapter 1806, Z-Way at a Loss. It is coming. Block it. Increase the power of present and past pavilion to the maximum. With chaotic thoughts, for Xuanzi exerted present and past pavilion to its limits. The screen in the pavilion emitted dense smoke, and the light pillar that shot out was almost solid. Myriad-year flying warship neared present and past pavilion. Ram into it. Fang Yuan sneered, standing arrogantly on the bow of the boat. But at the next moment, present and past pavilion retaliated with all its strength, sharply slowing down myriad-year flying warships charging momentum. Killer move, slow down? Fang Yuan was familiar with this move. Under his command, the silver light around myriad-year flying warships suddenly concentrated, swoosh. With a light sound, present and past pavilion's killer move was broken. Myriad-year flying warship speed was restored, and it collided with present and past pavilion. Present and past pavilion was not specialized in defense. Fang Yuan had destroyed it by himself back then, and now it collided with the sturdier and faster myriad-year flying warship. It shattered immediately. The pavilion roof was sent flying. The pillars crumbled. The screens were shattered. The pavilion base was reduced to fragments. The four Xuanzi coughed out a large amount of blood and fell down into the river of time. Without the protection of present and past pavilion, the four Xuanzi lost the ability to retaliate against Fang Yuan. In just a short while, they were all killed by Fang Yuan. They were at rank 7, and like Lu Hao, had not joined Heavenly Court, so they still had their own immortal apertures. Their immortal goo, however, were all detonated. Fang Yuan had just collected their corpses as well as the scattered immortal goo when Eternal Yacht arrived. Rank 8 Gu Immortal Qing Yi was standing on Eternal Yacht. His expression immediately changed when he saw the four Xuanzi's corpses on the deck of myriad-year flying warship. Fang Yuan, you demon, I will make you pay with your life. Fang Yuan turned around and smiled. Here comes another one seeking death. There was no exchange of words. The rapids under myriad-year flying warship surged and rushed towards Eternal Yacht. Its violent and sharp movement immediately caused a disturbance among the Gu immortals in Eternal Yacht. Bursting veins bulged on Qing Ye's forehead. He rubbed it, but still sent out a wise command. We will avoid it. Don't fight head-on with this rank 8 immortal Gu house. The four Xuanzi were dead, but the battle details had already been sent. Fairy Z-Way and Qing Yi knew much information about myriad-year flying warship. However, would be it easy for Eternal Yacht to escape? Myriad-year flying warship's speed rose, breaking the limits it showed before. Although this immortal Gu house was called a warship, it had the shape of a boat. It moved like a silver comet now, rapidly surfing along the river of time. Eternal Yacht had the form of a multi-storied ship. It was much larger than myriad-year flying warship, but it was not fast. How could it be able to dodge? Boom! With a huge sound, Eternal Yacht shook as a large hole was smashed in its front hull from which the inside could be seen clearly. Fang Yuan's myriad-year flying warship had directly pierced through Eternal Yacht. How is this possible? We had already activated the strongest defensive method of Eternal Yacht, but it could not block even one attack. The fact was so horrifying that Qing Yi was staring with wide eyes. Lord, that damned Fang Yuan is charging over again. The Gu immortals inside Eternal Yacht shouted in fright. They had just spoken when myriad-year flying warship smashed into Eternal Yacht again. Eternal Yacht shook intensely. Qing Yi lost his balance and staggered. His battle intent was shaking. How could he beat this? Eternal Yacht's Gu worms suffered enormous damage. The entire place would directly collapse after another few collisions. Many Gu immortals were pale with cold sweat all over their faces. Fortunately, they heard Qing Ye's command at this time. Retreat. Eternal Yacht turned around and retreated decisively. Can you escape? Fang Yuan smiled coldly. Boom, boom, boom. Myriad-year flying warship collided into Eternal Yacht time after time. Eternal Yacht used its killer moves to retaliate, but Fang Yuan had already prepared restraining methods. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will never be defeated as long as Heavenly Court did not have any huge change. Fang Yuan would definitely be the final winner. The outcome of this battle had been decided from the start. Therefore, when Eternal Yacht was destroyed and Qing Yi fell into the river of time, Fang Yuan's side was not surprised. Kill him. Without needing Fang Yuan's command, many Gu immortals inside the warship shouted simultaneously. Killing intent surged. Myriad-year flying warship submerged into the river and rammed at Qing Yi like a vicious shark. Qing Yi put all his strength in activating defensive methods, but as a dark path Gu immortal, he was greatly suppressed in the river of time. Boom! Myriad-year flying warship directly destroyed the dark shield and sent him flying. Qing Yi coughed out a large amount of blood and tried to move to the surface while enduring the intense pain. The river surface was right in his sight when he made a horrifying discovery. Myriad-year flying warship was already waiting for him. Boom! There was another huge sound. Myriad-year flying warship directly slammed down on Qing Ye's head with its base, and a large part of Qing Ye's skull caved in. The enormous force transmitted through his whole body, shattering his spine, rib bones, and other parts. Gurgle, gurgle. A large amount of water of the river of time entered through his mouth. The huge collision slammed him down to the depths of the river like a ball. Still not dead? Fang Yuan was stunned at Qing Ye's stubborn vitality. Then, we just have to do it again. The eyes of the Rockman tribe first supreme elder were bloodshot with killing intent. Taking advantage of the enemy when he was weakened, Myriad-year flying warship was like a killer launching a deadly pursuit. Boom! With the third collision, Qing Yi was heavily injured once again. From his right shoulder to his chest, most of his body was smashed into pulp and his organs were completely destroyed. Qing Yi stared rigidly at Myriad-year flying warship. He wanted to struggle, but had no strength left. Finally, he lost his life, becoming a floating corpse. He is dead. He really died. This is a rank 8 Gu immortal. We really killed him. The variant human Gu immortals cheered in joy, even by Ning Bing. He Lulan and the rest were visibly moved. Fairy Miao Yin and Lady White Rabbit were also very excited that a battle merit, like killing a rank 8 Gu immortal, was simply too rare. Despite using many external influences, this battle merit was enough for them to boast about it their whole lives. Fang Yuan collected Qing Ye's corpse. It was a pity his soul had already dispersed. This Qing Yi is quite a fierce person. He actually destroyed his own soul at the end. But this physical body is also an excellent immortal material, and it will help me research Phantom Path. Heavenly Court grasped the supreme profundities of Phantom Path. Precisely so. After the Heavenly Court members contributed their immortal aperture, they could obtain a Phantom Aperture and leave Heavenly Court to fight outside. Once a Heavenly Court Gu immortal died, the Phantom Aperture would automatically dissipate along with the Gu worms. Even the Dao marks would disappear, in short. Even if one won against a Heavenly Court Gu immortal, they would reap few benefits. But after annexing Langya, Blessed Land, Langya Land Spirit had informed Fang Yuan that the corpses of Heavenly Court Gu immortals would retain the supreme profundity of Phantom Path. If Fang Yuan could comprehend some Phantom Path mysteries from these corpses, he might be able to decipher Heavenly Court's Phantom Path method and even have a hold on Heavenly Court. Even if he could not do anything to Heavenly Court, Fang Yuan could use this Phantom Path method on himself. With the Phantom Aperture method, Fang Yuan could control Yingwu Xie and the rest even more strictly. This was the best weapon to ensure loyalty. Myriad-year flying warship continued to sweep through the battlefield. Fang Yuan's side was joyous. Their long training was finally paying off. In this battle, they destroyed 2 immortal Gu houses and over 10 Gu immortals. Present and past pavilion had the 4 Xuanzi, while there were even more Gu immortals in Eternal Yacht. Immortal Gu houses were developed from immortal formations. They needed to be jointly controlled by many Gu immortals for them to be flexible and comprehensive. Some immortal Gu houses had extremely strict requirements on the amount of Gu immortals. There could not be one more or one less. Very few immortal Gu houses could be controlled by just one person. None of these Gu immortals managed to escape with their lives. They were all gathered, corpses put to one side, and their souls suppressed. The battle ended, but Fang Yuan was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he patrolled around the river while waiting to see if there would be reinforcements from Heavenly Court. Lady White Rabbit, Fang Yuan, Zong, and other Gu immortals discussed. They were still excited, and their topic of discussion was mostly centered on the rank 8 Gu immortal Qing Yi. Speaking of which, Qing Yi was quite unlucky. Eternal Yacht was destroyed, and he was highly restricted in the River of Time. It was quite amazing for him to be able to display 20 to 30% of his skills. This was the area with the greatest amount of time path down marks in the whole world. Because of this, time path methods were extremely easy to use here, and their might was also amplified. But other methods like Great Thief Ghost Hand, Reverse Flow Protection Seal, and so on were greatly suppressed. Heavenly Court. Fairy Ziwei's expression was pale, and her gaze was somewhat dazed. She obtained the latest battle information. Fang Yuan controlled the rank 8 Immortal Gu House, and destroyed both present and past pavilion and eternal yacht. Even Qing Yi was killed? Fairy Ziwei felt a deep sense of disbelief. She was still planning on giving commands. Even if they could not kill Fang Yuan, they could drive him off. But the two greatest sources of battle strength that she relied on were eliminated so soon. This battle was decided way too quickly. This does not make any sense. Present and past pavilion and eternal yacht might only be at rank 7, but they were both outstanding among their peers. Their structure was highly ingenious, and they possessed plenty of comprehensive methods. If not for this, Fairy Ziwei would not have mobilized the two Immortal Gu houses to besiege Fang Yuan to S.O. What was the problem? Reviewing the battle information. Fang Yuan's mysterious Immortal Gu house might be at rank 8, but has limited methods. Besides controlling the water of the River of Time to speed up itself, its strongest aspect was physical toughness. Myriad-year flying warships fighting method could be described in one word: collision. If two words were used, hard collision. If three words, sped up collision. This battle tactic was clearly extremely straightforward and simple, but why did it succeed? That was because during the fight, the methods of present and past pavilion and eternal yacht, especially the defensive measures, were instantly destroyed by Fang Yuan. Fairy Ziwei stood up from her seat. She was unable to keep sitting. A thin layer of cold sweat had appeared on her forehead. Looks like Fang Yuan has truly been reborn. He has an extremely deep understanding of present and past pavilion and eternal yacht. He also prepared the most effective methods against their killer moves. Thus, they appeared fragile and looked like they did not even have strength to retaliate. Just like Fang Yuan expected, Fairy Ziwei, who already had heavy doubts before, was now certain Fang Yuan had been reborn. What do we do? Fang Yuan has a rank 8 Immortal Gu house now and can move around the River of Time, while my side's 3 Immortal Gu houses are still in the construction process. Should I halt the construction? Since he has been reborn, he is probably familiar with these 3 Immortal Gu houses. If I halt the construction and switch to other Immortal Gu houses, would it be too late? Fang Yuan definitely entered the River of Time to search for Red Lotus true inheritances. If he succeeds, it will be extremely bad. The consequences will be much worse than the defeat in Langya Blessed Land. At this instant, the ever-so-resourceful Fairy Ziwei was at a loss for what to do. Chapter 1807, Public Sentiment. Chapter 1807 Public Sentiment. Fang Yuan and the rest returned to southern border following a tributary of the River of Time. Despite the immortals being in an excellent condition with high spirits, it was still necessary to rest and reorganize after the battle. The gains this time are quite good. Fang Yuan inspected the corpses. Besides rank 8 Gu Immortal Qing Yi, most of these Central Continent rank 7 Gu Immortals were from Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects. They did not have the qualifications to join Heavenly Court, so they had not contributed their immortal apertures. Most of the Gu worms were destroyed, but these immortal apertures were still there. There was also 1 or 2 immortal Gu that were luckily preserved after the 2 immortal Gu houses were destroyed. In the following period of time, Fang Yuan would need to inspect these immortal apertures and see if there were any issues. If there were no issues, he would annex them. Naturally, there was a portion of immortal apertures that Fang Yuan could not annex because of inadequate attainment levels. In fact, there was a portion of such people among the southern border immortal captives. These battle spoils are only a bonus. The true value of this battle is that I have shrugged off my passive situation. I am now taking the initiative to fight Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan had grasped the timing of this battle well. If he had battled earlier, he would not have the Immortal Gu House myriad-year flying warship and would have to expose his rank 8 cultivation. This was undesirable, because once his rank 8 cultivation was exposed, Heavenly Court would notice Fang Yuan had not underwent the tribulation. and as such, the secret of the sovereign immortal aperture would also be exposed if he delayed this battle. Heavenly Court would not have just these two immortal goo houses. In the previous life, Fang Yuan had encountered 4 time path immortal goo houses. By destroying eternal yacht and present and past pavilion, Heavenly Court fell into a very passive state. Heavenly Court was afraid Fang Yuan would obtain Red Lotus true inheritances, so they would definitely send reinforcements to the River of Time to stop Fang Yuan. After Lord Huangshi passed, Heavenly Court lacked Time Path rank 8 experts, so they were forced to substitute with Qing Yi and Time Path. Immortal goo houses. Like this, it would give Fang Yuan another chance to attack. It would be just like how Fang Yuan destroyed Eternal Yacht and present and past pavilion. But even if Heavenly Court knew of this, they would do their best to stop Fang Yuan no matter how big of a price they had to pay. In the previous life, Heavenly Court guarded the River of Time like a fortress. But in this life, the River of Time has already become a place Heavenly Court must salvage. It is also the best battlefield for me to weaken Heavenly Court and make them bleed. Fang Yuan was almost sure of Heavenly Court's response. Just like Heavenly Court had the strategical advantage of possessing Fate Goo, which forced the 4 regions Goo Immortals to make a long campaign to attack Central Continent and Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan relied on the smoke screen that was Red Lotus True Inheritance to force Heavenly Court to send reinforcements to the River of Time. It is just that my rebirth secret cannot be hidden any longer. In the Battle of Langya, Fairy Ziwei had already been suspicious. And in this period of time, Fang Yuan captured the southern border immortals and also started a slaughter in the River of Time. If Fairy Ziwei was still not sure that Fang Yuan had been reborn, she would not be Fairy Ziwei. Fang Yuan would never underestimate Fairy Ziwei. He was very familiar with her. Often, the one who understood you the most was not your friend but your enemy. Sure enough, after a few days, Fairy Ziwei publicized in Treasure Yellow Heaven that Fang Yuan had reborn and possessed a rank 8 time path immortal goo house. The moment this was released, news spread everywhere. Fang Yuan's influence went up a level and the whole world was in an uproar. How long has it been? Fang Yuan has already grown to be a demonic path overlord, a person who is a giant pillar of the demonic path. Fang Yuan already has that reverse flow river killer move and can reflect attacks of rank 8 goo immortals, being in an impregnable position. Now, he has a rank 8 immortal goo house. Isn't this too fast? It is like this immortal goo house jumped out from the ground out of nowhere. Since he was reborn, the appearance of this immortal goo house cannot be considered sudden. Don't forget that he annexed Langya blessed land, which has a deep foundation. The discussions naturally involved Heavenly Court. Heavenly Court seems to be quite weak. They don't have any effective methods against Fang Yuan. The mighty Heavenly Court was defeated again and again, so they publicized Fang Yuan's details. It is not that Heavenly Court is weak, but they have no way to deal with Fang Yuan. Normally speaking, even a rank 8 demonic immortal would not be as high profile as Fang Yuan. That's right. Demonic path goo immortals have always been alone. If they offend or provoke the righteous path, many forces would collaborate, gather information using information path, deduce their position with wisdom path, and hunt them down. It is like how the southern border immortals chased after Fang Yuan. But Fang Yuan? He can actually guard against Heavenly Court's deductions. He also has fixed immortal travel to move everywhere he wants, and is hard to catch. His formation path attainment is also extremely high. He can see through the ambush of formations. He even used a time path formation to ambush and capture the pursuing team of southern border. He also annexed Langya blessed land. His refinement path attainment level is at least at great grandmaster level. The discussions became much more in-depth, and the goo immortals astonishingly discovered Fang Yuan was so versatile. He cultivated so many paths, such a horrifying talent shocked the world. I understand now, he is a monster. Many people took sharp breaths. Most goo immortals, even rank 8s, cultivated one path primarily. Who could cultivate so many paths like Fang Yuan? Cultivating multiple paths would divide their time, energy, and resources. The goo immortals would often accomplish nothing in the end. In fact, Fang Yuan had also thought of specializing in one path, but he could do nothing about it. Before this, he battled alone and was always pressured by his enemies. Could he do without cultivating wisdom path? Could his battle strength increase if he did not cultivate soul path? Could he capture the southern border immortals without formation path? We can't say that. Even if Fang Yuan's aptitude was worse, as long as he continuously rebirths with spring-autumn cicada, he can use the time to accumulate different foundations. Right, with spring-autumn cicada, even if he fails, he has the opportunity to rebirth countless times. The experience of failures will still accumulate. Even an idiot will succeed after failing so many times. Spring-autumn cicada. It is indeed worthy of being Red Lotus Demon Venerable's vital goo. It has such an amazing power. On the list of mystical goo, Spring-autumn cicada's ranking should be raised even higher. The current ranking of such a mystical goo is too low. Because of Fang Yuan, Spring-autumn cicada's ranking should indeed be raised, but I feel we should not overestimate Spring-autumn cicada. It is after all only a goo worm. There are many methods to restrict it. To a great extent, the reason why Fang Yuan is so amazing is because he is an otherworldly demon. Indeed, the combination of an otherworldly demon and spring-autumn cicada is truly too perfect. Besides an otherworldly demon, it will be very difficult for others to change their lives greatly by using spring-autumn cicada. Fang Yuan observed the discussions, and after careful consideration, he decisively spread the video of the battle in the River of Time in Treasure Yellow Heaven. He even posted a speech. Heavenly Court, my counterattack has just begun. Wait until I get Red Lotus True Inheritance in the River of Time. I will completely destroy your fake goo. In the previous life, you successfully restored fake goo. That was because the depths of your foundation surpassed my expectation. There were too few people understanding the situation in the other 4 regions. Many rank 8 experts were even secretly restrained by you. There were also many goo immortals who were living naively, not knowing the fatal threat of fake goo. All of you just you wait. The moment this speech was posted, the goo immortal world of the 5 regions fell into temporary silence. Shortly afterwards, the public sentiment erupted like a volcano and poured like a flood. Oh heavens, Fang Yuan is directly provoking Heavenly Court. How many years has it been since something like this happened? Years? Even throughout history, such cases only appeared a few times. Few people can do this, and even fewer people can pose a threat to Heavenly Court. Although Fang Yuan only has rank 7 cultivation, he can already match rank 8. He has annexed Langya Blessed Land and has a large number of variant human goo immortal subordinates, as well as a rank 8 immortal goo house. The even more terrifying thing is he seems to possess precise information about Red Lotus True Inheritance. If he really obtains the Demon Venerable's True Inheritance. Terrifying. If this continues, Fang Yuan will become a new Demon Venerable. Sigh, the common people are innocent. Is there going to be a Demon Venerable wreaking havoc again? We cannot lightly make an enemy out of Fang Yuan. Look at this video properly. All the killer moves of Heavenly Court's 2 immortal goo houses were broken by Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had clearly experienced them in the previous life and found the countermeasures in this life. The combination of spring-autumn cicada and an otherworldly demon is too unreasonable. The discussions gradually started to contain fear. Fear towards Fang Yuan. Previously, Goo Immortal mostly felt wariness, hatred, and envy towards Fang Yuan. But now, fear began to gradually take over the other emotions. The Goo Immortals already knew Fang Yuan could not be provoked easily, but now, Fang Yuan could not be provoked even more. Even a colossal super force like Heavenly Court, the strongest righteous path force in the 5 regions, was repeatedly wrecked by Fang Yuan, and their prestige was ruthlessly stepped on. Even now, they had no way to deal with Fang Yuan. Southern border, Wu Clan. Wu Yang's gaze was gloomy. Fang Yuan. Heavenly Court. Qi Clan. Qi Chu Yu's expression was ashen. He finally realized the possibility. The traitor has not been found. Maybe this is the information revealed in the previous life. If I did transactions with Fang Yuan in the previous life as well, doesn't that mean I am the traitor? Thinking of this, Qi Chu Yu felt stunned himself. Western Desert, Tang Clan. The first Supreme Elder and second Supreme Elder were in a secret discussion. This demon Fang Yuan is becoming increasingly stronger. If his relationship with our clan is exposed, Heavenly Court will definitely eliminate us. We have already collaborated with Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan is so strong now that we cannot stop this connection. We will have to be even more careful. If he truly becomes a demon venerable in the future, it will also be an excellent opportunity for our Tang clan to grow. Shi Clan's first supreme elder, who was cultivating in a secret room, laughed. Interesting. Heavenly Court wants the whole world to go against Fang Yuan. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan also expressed the weakness of Heavenly Court and its hidden threat, hoping that Gu immortals of the four regions would jointly attack Heavenly Court. Forget about him for now. I will continue my close cultivation. After my cultivation progresses further, let's see how the heroes of the world will act in front of my sword. Chapter 1808. Plotting, Pursuing Tao. Chapter 1808. Plotting, Pursuing Tao. Heavenly Court, Immortal Graveyard. An inexplicable change was occurring that a lump of fire appeared. It was very small at first, but after a while, the fire expanded rapidly, dyeing the sky of the immortal graveyard red. This fire illuminated the surroundings, attracting Fairy Ziwei and other Heavenly Court members' attention. Fairy Ziwei immediately rushed to the entrance of the immortal graveyard and saw that the fire had grown even brighter. There were even specks of silver light in the fire, like countless diamonds adorning a red curtain. The fire dissipated, and an aged Gu immortal wearing a large crimson robe walked out from the depths of the immortal graveyard. The diamond-like lights gathered together, and inside the gentle light was an old man who slowly moved forward in a wooden wheelchair. Fairy Ziwei's eyes shone happily. She recognized these two elderly Gu immortals. That crimson-robed elderly man was Li Huang, a fire path great expert. And the elderly man on the wooden wheelchair was Gu Lu Ru, a time path great expert. Junior Ziwei pays respects to both seniors. Fairy Ziwei bowed as she greeted. Ji Lu Ru nodded without speaking. He was sickly pale and thin as a skeleton. He had a rough life experience, and the lower half of his body was paralyzed with no cure available. Thus he had a cold and detached disposition. Li Huang spoke. We did not wake up for no reason. Heavenly Court must need our strength. How is the situation now? Fairy Ziwei felt ashamed as she informed the two of them about the current situation. Fang Yuan? I did not think such a demon would appear in the world. Humph. Throughout the ages, there has always been chaos and disorder during the coming of a great era. But this demon is too savage in his rampage. The fundamental cause is that he is the seed planted by Red Lotus Demon Venerable. Li Huang snorted coldly. His expression was of anger and dissatisfaction. Ji Lu Ru's expression was cold like ice as he said, Fortunately, the overall situation is still in our control. When Fate Gu is restored in a few years, Heavenly Court will be in an invincible position. By then, even if Fang Yuan is stronger, he won't be able to make a huge impact. He then said to Fairy Ziwei, You are a wisdom path Gu immortal. It is right for you to lead Heavenly Court. If you have any tasks for us old-timers, there is no need to hold back. Joy appeared on Fairy Ziwei's face. Seniors, you have just woken up. You should first rest and recover your battle strength by equipping yourselves with Immortal Gu. We have lost control over the River of Time and are currently constructing Time Path Immortal Gu houses without regard for the costs. We also need to lay down the River Suppression Lotus Ceiling Formation in the River of Time. Seniors, it would be great if you could guard the River of Time. Gu Lu Ru and Li Huang glanced at each other, before the former nodded while the latter laughed. So be it. Let us deal with this little demon venerable. Based on just battle strength, Li Huang was stronger than Gu Lu Ru, but Fairy Ziwei was more excited about Gu Lu Ru's appearance. This time Path Great Expert had woken up at just the right time, filling up the gap of Heavenly Court in the Time Path aspect and relieving Fairy Ziwei's urgent issue. But Fang Yuan has been reborn. Does he know about the awakening of these seniors? Fairy Ziwei frowned again when she thought of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan could rebirth. It was extremely troublesome to deal with such an enemy. It would always make others doubt their decisions. Fairy Ziwei did not know that in the previous life, only Li Huang had woken up. Gu Lu Ru had woken up in the final period when Longevity Heaven attacked Heavenly Court. At that time, Gu Lu Ru fought He Fan to a deadlock. He was finally killed by Lu Lu's sneak attack. Fang Yuan had made an early attack, destroying Eternal Yacht and Present and Past Pavilion, also killing Qing Yi. The ink effect caused Gu Lu Ru to awaken in advance. This rank 8 great expert would definitely be a huge obstruction to Fang Yuan in an environment like the River of Time, Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Mini Central Continent. Fang Yuan's divine sense covered this marsh. There was highly fertile silt here. There was also a clear knee-deep river above the layer of silt. This was the resource point Fang Yuan had just constructed. The marsh was vast and boundless. The bud of the desolate plant, extreme marsh flower, as big as a house, could be seen every few kilometers. When the extreme marsh flower bloomed, it looked like a trumpet with its petals connected. They were primarily white with a few parts bearing slight hints of pink. Strands of white mist started rising slowly from the pistils of the extreme marsh flowers. Extreme marsh flower mist was the food of regret goo. Feeding regret goo was slightly troublesome, as its food was hard to store. The extreme marsh flower mist needed to be fresh, so the best method was to construct a corresponding resource point in the immortal aperture, in the previous life. Fang Yuan had constructed this marsh, but that was after obtaining regret gu.in this life. He was extremely wealthy, so he constructed it in advance. Although he had not obtained regret goo yet, it was a preparation for the future. When he obtained regret goo, there would be no need to worry about its food. Fang Yuan solved the food issue of even regret goo, which he had yet to obtain in advance. He was already able to self-sufficiently provide food for all his immortal goo. Not long ago, Fang Yuan had even created a resource point for the rank 8 immortal goo edition that he plundered from Bashir Ba. He marked a special sea area in Mini Eastern Sea, in which he introduced another whole new group of water spiders to produce sufficient food for the rank 8 immortal goo edition. Naturally, these water spiders were extorted from Southern Border's righteous path. Fang Yuan had already annexed most of the immortal apertures of the Southern Border captives, and had even searched their souls until there was nothing left. But Southern Border's righteous path did not know this and accepted Fang Yuan's extortion obediently. It was like how Heavenly Court did not know the true inheritance left by Red Lotus Demon Venerable. To Fang Yuan did not have the direct method to destroy fake goo, but they still feared for the worst and used all their strength to redeem the situation in the River of Time. There was a famous phrase on Earth about the art of war. The highest form of generalship is to cut down the enemy's plans. The next best is to cut them off from allies. The next in order is to cut down the enemy's army in the field, and the worst policy of all is to besiege walled cities. These were wise words. When people were young, they only cared about fighting. But after growing up, they would gradually realize fighting was only a third-rate method to reach one's target and get benefits. There was high risk in an intense battle, and the benefits are also not fixed. Often, there would be damage to both sides. This method could only be used when there was no other choice. Fang Yuan leaned towards planning and plotting when he did things. He was not a brute, but when there was a necessity to fight, he would pick up his blade with no fear or cowardice. Naturally, there was a fundamental difference between the Goo Master world and Earth. Through cultivation, an individual's strength could surpass the collective force of a group or organization. Therefore, a person like Spectral Soul Demon Venerable could exist. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable only used one method. Kill, 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 slaughter everything, destroy heaven, decimate earth. Heads roll and blood flowed. He did not counter the enemy's plans, nor did he cut them off from allies, but he still obtained supreme success. Why? Because he cultivated his own Tao. This was his understanding of heaven and earth. It was his understanding towards himself. Every person he killed would further increase his perseverance towards improving himself and deepen his understanding of heaven and earth. Both of these fueled the growth of his soul path attainment level, and the growth in his attainment level greatly increased his strength. If this was Earth and someone did this, they would be seeking death. In the 500 years of Fang Yuan's previous life, he was already more than 100 years old when he suddenly comprehended this principle. From then on, he started to think. What was his Tao? Or rather, what kind of path could he create? Even now, he did not have a perfect answer to this question. Over 400 years had passed since then. He had reborn several times and was still trying to find out the answer. He only had a vague and blurry direction that he moved and rolled about in the darkness. And in this darkness, there were too many hardships, dangers, and ferocious beasts that wanted to swallow him whole. Fang Yuan was clear. Among these ferocious beasts, Heavenly Court was currently the biggest and the strongest one. He needed to exert all his strength to have a chance of contending with this ferocious beast, escaping from its hunt, and to continue walking on his path. Both Fang Yuan and Fairy Ziwei had repeatedly exposed information about each other, hoping to borrow the strength of other Gu immortals to deal with the other. There was no winner in this fight. It was like the fight between a lion and a tiger, the bloody smell attracting countless hyenas. He seemed to have an impressive reputation, but there were turbulent undercurrents surging in the dark. Many people thinking of ways to deal with him, and Spring-Autumn Cicada, in 01 liked the presence of such a threat. Spring-Autumn Cicada was not all-powerful. It was only a rank 7 Gu, and there were too many ways to restrain it. Even Langya Blessed Land had many methods to subdue Spring-Autumn Cicada. In truth, Fang Yuan was rather surprised at Heavenly Court not having any effective methods against Spring-Autumn Cicada. The little demon venerable title seemed to show unlimited prospects, but it concealed deep killing intent. This was reminding the world that if Fang Yuan was not killed and he grew up to be a demon venerable, the future would be bleak for everyone. Fang Yuan might have obtained victory in the River of Time and gotten hold of the initiative. But he was clear that this was only a small strategical victory, and it could not put a dent on Heavenly Court's overall strategy. Just like the game of chess, he only made a single good move, and although he turned from passive to active, which was worth celebrating, Heavenly Court still had the overall control of the game. And this Heavenly Court, that had countless years of accumulation, was the chess piece that was placed by primordial origin immortal venerable over 3 million years ago. With Heavenly Court's foundation, the ink effect should appear again, and some powerful characters might awaken in the immortal graveyard. The most important thing is still to use every second and do everything I can to increase my strength. Fang Yuan did not become prideful due to victory. His joy lasted a very short moment before he dived into cultivating once again. That it was not an exaggeration to say that he was making full use of every second. Soul cultivation progressed smoothly. Fang Yuan's soul stably progressed from 1 desolate soul to 3 desolate soul, 5 desolate soul, 8 desolate soul, and finally, broke through to 10 desolate soul. 5 restriction profound light chi was already practiced to the point of proficiency. Fang Yuan even modified it. Although this modification was rather small, it allowed Fang Yuan to alter the method and suit his habits so that he would have ease when activating it. Fang Yuan began to practice other killer moves, like Ba Shi Ba's consecutive hit method. In this period of time, he went out frequently and used Jade Flow Pearl to make early moves, obtaining many resources from newly formed earth trenches. Among them, rank 7 Earth Vein Immortal Gu was one significant harvest. Chapter 1809, Seeing Heavenly Core. Chapter 1809, Seeing Heavenly Core. This Earth Vein Immortal Gu looked like an earthworm, but when it was held, it was quite heavy and did not give a slippery or cold feeling. Instead, it was warm and gentle. It was exquisite and translucent like brown amber. With this rank 7 Earth Path Immortal Gu, Fang Yuan could construct the 5 regional limit formation. Regarding the 5 regional limit formations modification, Fang Yuan's time path clone had smoothly completed it. There was the support of the Light of Wisdom as well as Fang Yuan's formation path and rule path foundation being deep enough. The new 5 regional limit formation added Earth Vein Immortal Gu, as well as Formation Spirit and Formation Flag. With the Formation Spirit, Fang Yuan would have a powerful assistant to help him control the whole formation and notice any signs of disturbance. With Formation Flag, Fang Yuan could move the whole formation directly from his immortal aperture to the outside, or move back the formation from the outside 5 regions to his immortal aperture. The immemorial year beast fishing formation was activated all the time, and the progress was stable. The year essence pool already had over 20 immemorial year beasts with as many as 7 species. Over half the species were gathered, but Fang Yuan was unsure if all the species could be gathered. This depended on luck. To strengthen his luck, Fang Yuan commanded Hairy Man Gu Immortals to begin refining luck path. Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan had an enormous amount of immortal goo, already passing 100, but he did not have many luck path immortal goo. Since he had the luck path true inheritance, once luck path immortal goo were refined, he could immediately put the inherited methods to use. Moreover, Heavenly Court's foundation in luck path was shallow. Thus, the effect of raising his strength in terms of luck path would show obvious yield at AS for luck path immortal materials, although they were rare and hard to gather. Fang Yuan had the southern border righteous path to extort materials from. The moment these luck path immortal materials were gathered, Fang Yuan made the hairy man goo immortals start the goo refinement, because they were not advancing the ranks of the immortal goo and were only refining rank 6 luck path immortal goo. Fang Yuan could bear the losses even if the refinement failed. He had enough foundation currently and was extremely wealthy, an enormous difference compared to his previous life at the same time period. As for the practice of immortal killer moves, 5 restriction profound light chi could be put aside now. Although he did not practice time cutting edge, Fang Yuan had gained many new insights. He had a clearer understanding of the true essence of this move now. This move was like an eraser. It could use time path power to erase the enemy, but also consume the user at the same time. The flaw of memory erasing by this move could not be removed. This was determined by the structure of time cutting edge. Once this flaw was removed, the whole killer moves framework would be overturned. If that happened, time cutting edge's extremely powerful offensive characteristic would also disappear completely. Fang Yuan had no choice but to accept this flaw. The main body made a lot of progress. His clone's progress was even bigger. The pure dream clone soul was gradually transforming and matching the body. Fang Yuan's Dragon Man clone had already advanced to become a rank 6 Dragon Man goo immortal and possessed a high-grade blessed land. Fang Yuan began to spare more time towards exploring dream realms. Over this period of time, he and Chi Chu Yu had carried out many transactions, and there were already a lot of dream realms in his immortal aperture. Fang Yuan's soul left the body and entered a Chi Path dream realm. His vision changed, and at the next moment, he was standing on top of a hill. Fog filled his sight, and chilling wind blew around him that he looked at himself. He was a rank 6 goo immortal and was in a miserable state. His body was filled with injuries with some wounds still bleeding. What is this? Just as Fang Yuan was pondering, there was a rustle of wind behind him. The fog dissipated and 3 Inkman goo immortals appeared. Wei Yushu, where do you think you're going? Die. 3 killer moves slashed towards Fang Yuan. This change was too sudden. Fang Yuan had yet to familiarize himself with his goo worms when he already fell into a life and death situation. Boom! At the next moment, his body exploded into pieces, dying miserably. Fang Yuan exited the dream realm and returned to reality. I did not expect I would encounter such an obstacle immediately after entering the dream realm, and even dying. He inspected the injuries on his soul. What was beyond his expectation was that there were only light injuries on his soul, which could be healed with 100 guts goo. Looks like after my soul advanced to desolate soul, the soul's quality changed and can bear stronger backlash from dream realms. Fang Yuan rested for a while before continuing to explore the dream realm. It was the same dream. Fang Yuan immediately inspected his goo worms. He only had 1 immortal goo. It had the shape of a cockroach and was gray-white, like the texture of a stone, but was quite light. It gave a cold and slightly rough feeling to the touch. Fang Yuan quickly found the details of this goo in his memories. This is Chi Flow goo, a rank 6 Chi Flow immortal goo. Besides this, there were a large number of rank 5 Chi Path mortal goo. There were also 3 immortal materials: Black Iron Chi, Orchid Vitality Chi, and Moving Dragon Chi. Fang Yuan was slightly stunned. Chi Flow goo only has support characteristics. How can I block the pursuing troops with just these mortal goo? Just as he was thinking, a loud shout sounded from behind him. Wei Yushu, where do you think you're going? Die! Bam! Fang Yuan was once again cut into pieces. Returning to reality, Fang Yuan pondered while treating his injuries. Based on the current situation, it is obvious that I need to activate immortal killer moves to be able to resist the 3 pursuing troops. Chi Path immortal killer move. Fang Yuan's Chi Path attainment level was low, but he had plenty of resources. Even without thieving heaven's true inheritance and giant sun's true inheritance, shadow sect's true inheritance contained many inheritances and had records of a lot of chi path killer moves. Langya's sect also had many in its collection. Even if he did not have these, just based on the enormous number of chi path immortal goo recipes in Langya's sect and his refinement path attainment level, Fang Yuan could refine immortal killer moves that on top of this rich theoretical foundation. Fang Yuan used the light of wisdom and soon thought of a killer move that could resolve the first obstacle of the dream realm. However, he was a stranger to chi path killer moves. Therefore, he began to practice them. Naturally, he did not have chi flow immortal goo, but he could more or less imitate its moves and practice them. When he returned to the dream realm, Fang Yuan finally had confidence. After trying several times, Fang Yuan activated the killer move successfully. His whole body was covered in a pitch-black armor. The pursuing three goo immortals could no longer kill him instantly. Wei Yushu, you dare to retaliate. A mere slave has such guts. You offended your master. You deserve to die. Kill him. Mash him into pulp. The three Inkman goo immortals shouted as they surrounded and attacked Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was able to resist for a while before he was killed by the three coming out of the dream realm. Fang Yuan summarized his experience. Looks like I need to prioritize escape instead of fighting them. In the next attempt, he did not use the previous moves, but instead changed to a movement immortal killer move that he failed once, but succeeded in the next attempt. This success brought Fang Yuan to the second stage of the dream realm. GUH. Before he had time to size up his surroundings, he coughed out a mouthful of blood. I am heavily injured, and the immortal materials have been expended greatly. Fang Yuan's mind sank slightly. Although he had only chi flow immortal goo, he could use this immortal goo as the core and use the three immortal materials as supplementary to activate immortal killer moves. Black Iron Chi could transform into a dark full-body armor. Orchid Vitality Chi could heal him. Moving Dragon Chi was used for movement, in the first stage of the Dream Realm. Fang Yuan had escaped the pursuit of the three goo immortals by using Moving Dragon Chi. Currently, Fang Yuan had entered the second stage and immediately discovered that Moving Dragon Chi was expended by over half. Iron Chi was expended by half, while Orchid Vitality Chi was intact with no expenditure. This situation is not good. Let's heal first. Fang Yuan silently prepared and activated an immortal killer move. Orchid Breath.As immortal essence was transferred to activate the killer move. Orchid Vitality Chi was instantly expended by a small portion. Fang Yuan gulped, and his cheeks suddenly puffed up. He opened his mouth and breathed out. The smell of his breath was fragrant and full of vitality. It was like a dense light green fog that quickly covered his whole body. When the fog disappeared after a while, Fang Yuan's injuries were mostly recovered. Where should I go now? Fang Yuan felt troubled. Currently, he was in a cave which looked like it might be in a mountain or underground. The cave was long and had many paths that extended in all directions. Fang Yuan had just walked a few steps when he saw an Inkman goo immortal coming from the front. This Inkman goo immortal saw Fang Yuan and was dazed at first before shouting in joy. Wei Yushu, so you were here. Ha ha ha. This is great. You actually ran into me. This merit is mine. The saying is not wrong. Arriving at the right time is better than arriving early. Fang Yuan was also surprised. This Inkman goo immortal was not one of the three goo immortals in the first stage. He was someone new. More importantly, he was not a rank 6, but a rank 7 variant human goo immortal. The rank 7 Inkman goo immortal pounced towards Fang Yuan. How could Fang Yuan be his opponent? All his bones were broken as he fell limply on the ground. The Inkman goo immortal sneered while looking down at Fang Yuan. Wei Yushu, weren't you so wild? You never expected to fall in my hands, right? Ha ha ha. To tell the truth, even I had not expected this. You lived so extravagantly and were doted on by the princess, but you were actually stupid enough to run away. You really brought it upon yourself. At the next moment, Fang Yuan's soul returned to reality with injuries. This means even if I am captured and am not killed, it is considered a failure. Looks like this dream realm is an escape dream realm. In that situation, there is indeed no way to contend against a ranked 7 goo immortal. Again, Fang Yuan entered the second stage of the dream realm. He tried many times, and failed repeatedly. He discovered there were many Inkman Gu immortals chasing after him, 5 rank 6 Gu immortals and 3 rank 7s. They were all Inkman Gu immortals. Adding on the information revealed by that rank 7 Gu immortal, Fang Yuan had a rough guess about the time period of the dream realm that it was not the remote antiquity era, but olden antiquity era. Variant humans were still powerful. There were many Gu immortals chasing him, and they all had plentiful methods. Fang Yuan failed again and again, but he was not discouraged, and soon, he found an opportunity to escape. Inside this mountain cave tunnel, there were several Qi Path immortal materials. One of them, Autumn Scale Concealment Qi, was the biggest help to him. Finally, Fang Yuan used the experience from his failed attempts and collected the immortal materials to activate a killer move. He smoothly passed the second stage, the third stage. Fang Yuan discovered to his surprise that the dream realm progressed automatically, and he could not interfere at all. He was collapsed on the ground, and in front of him was a beautiful female Inkman immortal. Her body was overflowing with rank 8 aura, and her gaze towards Fang Yuan contained anger, hatred, as well as love and pity. Wei Yushu, when I bought you back then, you were only a kid who did not even know about cultivation. I taught you step by step and raised you into a Gu immortal. Was it my protection and indulgence that allowed you to have such guts? Tell me, why did you betray me? Have I, Princess Yitong, mistreated you? You lived in luxury and peace. You only needed to serve me, and I have never treated you cruelly. The rank 8 female Inkman immortal asked sharply. Wei Yushu smiled sadly. But, even if I lived a much better life, I was still only your slave. The female Inkman immortal was furious. What is bad about becoming my slave? Many Inkmen want to live your life, but don't get such a chance. Wei Yushu was dazed for a moment before he spoke slowly. I did not think it was bad before, but when I heard there was a heavenly court in this world where humans live. So, you want to run to heavenly court? The female Inkman immortal sneered. You are too naive. You actually believe in the temptation of these devils? Wei Yushu closed his eyes. His voice was hoarse. It is not that I believe it, but I want to believe it. The female Inkman immortal's gaze turned slightly dazed, and her anger slowly dissipated. She recalled the beautiful memories of the past, how she had spoiled this foreign race's slave, but those days would never return. She said regretfully, Yushu, I have pardoned your mistakes many times, but I cannot do it this time. If I pardon you anymore, it will damage the dignity of my race. If I had not personally come out, you would have actually escaped. My effort in raising you is not in vain after all. The truth is, this place is very close to the sphere of influence under Heavenly Court. These words seemed to have injected a gust of strength in Wei Yushu. He suddenly opened his eyes and stared at the female Inkman immortal that he begged. I don't have any wish before my death, but I only have one thought. Please let me climb out of this cave and take one glance at Heavenly Court. The female Inkman immortal was silent for a while before sighing. All right. She moved to the side. Wei Yushu used his bloodied hands to slowly crawl out with all his strength. He was breathing roughly, his sweat and blood mixed together. It was a short distance, but he had to spend a good while to move to the cave entrance. This cave entrance was located at the middle part of the mountain. It could see far and wide. He looked ahead with hope. However, he only saw dense mist. It is really unfortunate, but mist is a common occurrence around mountains. The female Inkman immortal walked from behind. But even if there was no mist, you won't see Heavenly Court. I said this is only a place near the sphere of influence under Heavenly Court, but it is only a barren land. Wei Yushu, however, seemed to have obtained utmost satisfaction. He lied on the ground powerlessly with no strength left to raise his head again. But his eyes shone brightly. No, I saw it. I saw Heavenly Court. You, the female Inkman immortal, was visibly moved. The moment he finished saying this, Wei Yushu's last breath was used up. He died. The female Inkman immortal fell into silence. She stared ahead at the direction of Heavenly Court in silence. Her expression carried an unprecedented solemnness. Heavenly Court. Chapter 1810. Extorting Dream Realms. Chapter 1810. Extorting Dream Realms. Fang Yuan was an audience throughout the whole third stage of the Qi Path Dream Realm. When this third stage was complete, the whole Qi Path Dream Realm also disappeared. Fang Yuan's exploration was completed. This dream realm was difficult at the beginning and easy at the end. I had to accumulate experience by going through so many failures in the first 2 stages. Even Unravel Dream was not too useful. But at the last stage, I directly passed it without having to do anything. This was the most comfortable experience for Fang Yuan, being an audience. If he could observe every dream realm like this, how wonderful would it be? This dream realm's time period was not the remote antiquity era, but olden antiquity era. Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan's gaze was slightly complicated. Even though he was Heavenly Court's archenemy, he had to admit the greatness of Heavenly Court, but shortly afterwards, only a chilly light remained in his eyes. No matter how great they are, as long as they block my path, I can only use all my strength to destroy them. With the successful exploration of this dream realm, Fang Yuan advanced to Chi Path Grandmaster. The progress was quite big since Fang Yuan had no attainment in Chi Path previously. No wonder that Wei Yushu could receive constant special treatment from the Inkman Princess. One of the main reasons must be his talent in Chi Path. Fang Yuan's biggest realization from this exploration was not related to the dream realm or heavenly court, but his soul, desolate soul. After forming a desolate soul, exploring dream realms became much easier. If it was a human soul, the injuries from this exploration would definitely be much heavier. Although Guts Gu could heal the injuries, it was bound to affect the efficiency of the exploration. Fang Yuan had a flash of inspiration. Perhaps when I use pure dream reality seeker physique body to explore dream realms, the injuries on the soul will be even lighter than now. Just like how Fang Yuan cultivated inside Luo Po Valley using Luo Po Wind. Once Fang Yuan's soul was inside a physical body, the power of Luo Po Wind would fall sharply that if Fang Yuan used a pure dream reality seeker physique body to carry his soul to explore dream realms. His soul should be tightly protected by the physical body that a normal body could not block the power of dream realms. But the pure dream reality seeker physique body was different. Unfortunately, Fang Yuan did not know the way to enter dreams with the pure dream reality seeker physique body. That if he directly sent the pure dream reality seeker physique body into a dream realm, it would move freely inside without any disturbance from the dream realm. But at the same time, it was unable to immerse in the dream, let alone explore the dream realm. Next, let's explore this ice and snow path dream realm. Fang Yuan moved his gaze. Fang Yuan had already stored many dream realms inside the sovereign immortal aperture. The Chi Path dream realm just now was the biggest, and it was gone now. This ice and snow path dream realm took the place as the biggest dream realm. Besides this dream realm, there were also dream realms of Chi Path, Sword Path, Wood Path, and so on. I have Desolate Soul. My efficiency in exploring dream realms is greatly increased. I felt these dream realms were enough before, but it looks somewhat insufficient now. Moreover, the dream realms are of different types. This is a petty act by Chi Chuyu. Fang Yuan knew clearly. Although Chi Chuyu continued to transact with Fang Yuan, he could secretly control the formation, and because he had obtained many dream path research results, he could distinguish the types of dream realm roughly. So, when he transacted with Fang Yuan, he was controlling the goods, giving Fang Yuan scattered dream realms of different paths. There was not even one human path dream realm that Fang Yuan truly wanted. There were also not many dream realms of Chi Path or Ice and Snow Path. Yet these dream realms were all useful to Fang Yuan. Or even Time Path dream realms or Refinement Path dream realms, as long as they were not dream realms which he had already explored before in the previous life. After all, Fang Yuan's highest attainment level was at Quasi-Supreme Grandmaster. There was still space to advance. Fang Yuan did not refuse any of these dream realms, as these dream realms could increase his attainment levels. Moreover, there was no disadvantage in increasing the attainment levels of all his paths. It was even a good thing, as he would not need to worry about this when annexing immortal apertures of related paths in the future. While Fang Yuan was exploring dream realms, the Hairy Mangu immortals had succeeded in their Gu refinement. Lord Fang Yuan, we have refined this immortal Gu. Sixth Hair handed over an immortal Gu. This immortal Gu resembled a water droplet that flickered with dazzling lights like a blue diamond. It was smooth and cold when touched. This was rank 6 Time Anchor Immortal Gu. Although Fang Yuan prioritized refining luck path immortal goo, time anchor immortal goo was also on the list of goo to be refined. The number of immortal goo Fang Yuan possessed surpassed 100, but he had enough resources and wealth to raise them. So the more immortal goo he had, the better. He had come in touch with time anchor immortal goo long ago. It was once the immortal goo of Eastern Sea, immortal zombie Su by man. It could anchor onto a certain period in time. Su by man died, and time anchor immortal goo was acquired by Shadow Sect, but was destroyed in the Battle of Etian Mountain. Now, Fang Yuan had ordered Hairy Man Goo Immortals to refine it. Time Anchor Immortal Goo could coordinate with Spring Autumn Cicada to form a killer move that could let Fang Yuan rebirth to a specific period of time. This killer move was very valuable. For instance, Fang Yuan could mark this current time and continue to explore dream realms without regard for anything else. At a certain stage, he could use this killer move to return to this time again and continue exploring other dream realms. His attainment levels in the paths would remain. Fang Yuan could use this move to continuously increase his attainment levels. Unfortunately, I cannot use Spring-Autumn Success if I use this killer move. Without a 100% success rate, there will be a chance of failure, and if I bump into it, it will be akin to suicide. I will end up as the biggest joke. Fang Yuan's time path attainment level might be at Quasi-Supreme Grandmaster, and he had the Light of Wisdom, but the problem here did not originate from himself. If I am not wrong, since Fate Goo is injured and not destroyed, it can restrict the effectiveness of the killer move made by merging Time Anchor Immortal Goo into Spring-Autumn Success. Using Spring-Autumn Cicada to rebirth was using a loophole of this world. This would disrupt events and change the past, influencing the balance of the world. Heaven's will would not allow such a thing to happen. For the current Fang Yuan, just using Time Anchor with Spring-Autumn Cicada was just enough to use this loophole. Spring-Autumn Success could also make use of this loophole, but the hole was too small for him to use the both together. Looks like only when Fate Goo is completely destroyed can Time Anchor effectively merge with Spring-Autumn Success. The killer moves in Red Lotus True Inheritance were similar. Even if the killer moves could link to form an even greater might, it did not show a good result when put into practice. The Dragon Man clone had already passed one heavenly tribulation and a dozen earthly calamities. His cultivation was rising sharply. To quicken Dragon Man clone's cultivation, Fang Yuan used Time Path Killer move to hasten the rate of time of the Dragon Man clone's immortal aperture to the limit. Before each calamity and tribulation, Fang Yuan would deduce the details, thus being well prepared for it. Because of Fang Yuan's powerful strength, these calamities and tribulations possessed no threat and were like fireworks ceremonies that increased the down marks of Fang Yuan's Dragon Man clone. Fang Yuan had time path methods, and more importantly, he had exposing heavenly secret which made the calamities and tribulations sent by Heaven's will ineffective. With the help of his robust strength, these calamities and tribulations were impotent at present. Fang Yuan could not only increase a Goo Master's cultivation level, he could even rapidly increase the cultivation level of a Goo Immortal, but this method could not be advocated because the cost was quite high. The Time Path Killer move to accelerate the Immortal Aperture's time flow was a Rank 8 killer move and expended a large amount of Rank 8 Immortal Essence. Exposing Heavenly Secret was also not a killer move that could be activated by ordinary Wisdom Path Goo Immortals. Adding on the expenses to undergo each tribulation, it only could produce at most a Rank 7 Dragon Man clone. The investment was not proportional to the yield. If not for Dragon Palace, Fang Yuan would be reluctant to develop the Dragon Man clone like this. Southern Border's beacon towers were constructed everywhere, and Southern Border's Righteous Path Goo Immortals began to protest, asking for Fang Yuan to first release some captives to show his sincerity. Thereupon, Fang Yuan released Yang. The E-clan was dumbstruck after obtaining Yang. Because Fang Yuan had only released Yang's body, his soul and immortal aperture were absent. Just a body was the same as a corpse. What use could it have? Southern Border's Righteous Path were furious but were helpless against Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan persuaded them. The body is only the first step. It shows my sincerity. It is your turn to show sincerity now. Southern Border's Righteous Path felt that the future was bleak. If Fang Yuan were to disassemble the captives and extort them, How much could he extort, and how long would this extortion last? Thereupon, they began to make a din. Fang Yuan's attitude changed to become tough and indifferent, directly threatening every clan. If you want me to release the captives, I will release them to your enemies. Moreover, I will humiliate your clan's Gu immortals through indescribable ways and make sure he or she would never be able to raise their head in the future. Fang Yuan had done this in the previous life. He was even more at ease and familiar with this process this time. Southern Border's righteous path shamefully gave in. They could do nothing, especially Ba clan and Xia clan. These pitiful clans had their first supreme elders captured by Fang Yuan. The other clans had also lost important battle. Strengths of theirs. If they did not save the captives, they would lose the support of their people. Fang Yuan then demanded Southern Border's righteous path to use dream realms as the chips to exchange for the captives. Southern Border's righteous path was not willing at first since dream realms represented the future, but Fang Yuan guaranteed, I am not asking for a lot and won't empty this place. I will even leave behind most of them for Southern Border's righteous path. Show even more sincerity. He was willing to release the body of a Gu immortal captive for every dream realm exchange. The Southern Border righteous path forces were helpless and could only accept this proposal. Chu felt a chill inside. He knew this was Fang Yuan's retaliation and also a warning. Thereupon, the extortion of Southern Border's righteous path entered the next stage. Fang Yuan did not go back on his promise. He released a captive's body every time he obtained a batch of dream realms. These dream realms were much larger than the ones he secretly transacted with Chu. Moreover, Fang Yuan had carefully chosen their paths as well. Fairy Ziwei was extremely worried and tried many ways to ruin these transactions, but none of them succeeded. It is time for another battle. Fang Yuan calculated the time and rode myriad-year flying warship into the River of Time. He took the initiative to start the second battle in the River of Time, but he did not know that this time, the time path great expert, Gu Lu Ru, was waiting for him.